Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Zerax, and in this video I want to do a solo guide for the Duality dungeon for you guys. I'm very much a solo player myself, and it's nice when we can get in on some of this endgame loot ourselves. I've been seeing that some people have still been struggling to solo this dungeon, and for some of us, solo is really our only option. So I'm going to do this guide a little differently, where I'm going to show you a whole run and give some play-by-play of what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, why I'm using what I'm using, as well as some tips to try and make some encounters easier. This video is going to be long, so I will provide timestamps so you can skip around and get straight to whatever it is you need to see or whatever you need help with. This is for the Titan class, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, so we are going to be rocking the solar class, and everything here is going to stay the same for the whole dungeon. So don't worry about having to change this throughout the encounters. Our fragments are going to be Ember of Torches, Ember of Solace, Ember of Searing, and Ember of Hyperion. If you don't have that last one, make sure you take a second to go see Ikora in the tower and pick that up. Aspects, of course, are going to be Soul Invictus and Roaring Flames. You'll also want to have that healing grenade on, as well as the throwing hammer for your melee. For the first jumping puzzle, I just ran with a sniper SMG and a sword with the perk Eager's Edge. That's going to be important for the future, but right now, use whatever is going to help you get past this jumping puzzle. I do recommend lying rampant, though, as it will help with making some of these jumps, but again, feel free to use whatever is going to help you survive. Alright, here we go, spawning in. Eris is going to give us a little speech at first, just wait by the statue.
Very mind. I have snared that thread, caught it between my fingers and woven it into a tapestry. One that I can weave you into. Enter Callus's consciousness. Use this opportunity to steal his darkest secrets from him. Now go.
Alright, now we can jump down. I will be with you from afar. Alright, so you're gonna have this bell on the other side of this room. You just gotta make sure that you shoot it. This is going to spawn you in the nightmare room. In case you don't know how this works, the bell, as long as you're in the regular room, you can shoot the bell from anywhere. But if you're in the nightmare room, you want to make sure that you are right next to the bell. You want to be in that circle. That way you will not die. Now, some of these guys are going to spawn right here. You don't have to kill them. You can kill them if you want to, but it's not going to matter either way. We're just going to go straight and just start jumping up. Now at the top here, you're going to have some Scion snipers. If you want, you can shoot them, take them out. A scout rifle could be handy here if you don't want to use a sniper rifle. Again, you can just run through these guys if you want to. But if you need to, you can shoot them just to get rid of them. I do shoot a couple of these guys just to get them out of the way.
Of Callus's personal torment, glimpses into his past which may provide insight to the future.
All right, now when you jump up here, there's going to be a bell right across the way. You make sure you shoot that. Okay, now we're back into the nightmare room. There's some more guys up here. You don't have to worry about these guys. I mess with them a little bit, but if you want, you can just run right past them. And I suck with the throwing hammer. And I'm terrible at jumping puzzles as well. Alright, now you get across over here. Got that bell. Just some more guys that you don't need to worry about killing about. Just get over here, and there's going to be a bell here. Alright, now sometimes there's one of those big guys that are right here. Normally if they don't spawn here, sometimes they spawn on the other side. It's kind of random where they spawn. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. Okay, you just jump right down here. You're going to have another bell right across the way. Or guys, again, you don't have to kill most of these guys up here through the jumping puzzle. You don't have to kill them. You don't have to worry about them. Just make sure you go on through this way. Now my radar is telling me that there's a guy right here in the corner, but we're not going to worry about him. We're just going to shoot the bell, move on. We do got a guy right here. Like I said, it's kind of random where these guys will spawn. Sometimes they're right there with the bells, and sometimes they're not.
Is the mighty goal to great a coward to kneel down and take my head from my shoulders?
Now these guys, now you do have to clear all the guys out in this room. Nice healing grenade. That healing grenade comes in very handy sometimes, because sometimes you might not be able to get your throwing hammer or whatever, or you're not in a sunspot. You know, you're not able to activate all that stuff. So whenever you're like in doubt and you're in trouble, that's where the healing grenade comes in very handy. Right now that we have all those guys gone, this little door right here is going to open up, and this is going to bring us to our first encounter. Alright, now a few things to note here real quick in case you need a rundown on how this encounter works. This room has 4 smaller rooms in it, 2 to your front and 2 to your back. The 2 in front are labeled as Chalice and Sun, while the 2 behind you are War Beast and Axis. To simplify, we can just call War Beast Dog and Chalice Cup, and that is how I will be referring to them for the remainder of this video. You also have 2 bells in this room, the one in the front with Cup and Sun, and the one in the back with Dog and Axis. Each bell is going to spawn 2 bell keepers. In order to use that bell, you will need to kill these bell keepers first. Now, it doesn't matter what bell you use here, it will only affect which side of the map you will spawn at in the nightmare room. The nightmare room is essentially a mirror of the regular room here. Once you are in the nightmare room, you will need to search the 4 smaller rooms for 2 scions. I'll explain more about that in this encounter as we go through. For this encounter, I'll be running Sniper, SMG, and Tractor Cannon. You could always switch out the SMG for a Glaive, as some people have been running the Glaive of Dreams mod. This mod comes from the artifact for Season 17. I chose not to use this because not everybody may be able to use this mod yet, and I wanted to go for a more neutral setup anyone can use. You will also want to run Synthoceps. That and Tractor Cannon are going to be necessary for maximizing damage during damage phase on the boss. Alright, so I'm going to use the bell in the back. It doesn't matter which one you do in this beginning. You're not going to have to worry about any bell keepers. Alright, so now that we're in the nightmare room, we're going to search for those scions. The way you know is if you see these dogs. Okay, here's the scion. You don't need to kill the dogs. You could just kill the scion and it's going to spawn this standard. Now we're going to go on a hunt. We're going to go take a look and see if we can find that second scion. Lucky enough, he happens to be right here in this next room. So we kill the scion, and I'm not going to actually pick up the standard in this room, and I'll explain a little more about why we do that later. Okay, just keep moving forward. Now what you want to do is, like I said, you have bell keepers. These are going to spawn on the opposite side of the room of the bell that you came through. You want to kill these guys. That way that it opens up the bell so you can actually use the bell. Now if you didn't notice, you have a timer on the side called Nightmare Collapsing, and you have to make sure that you get back to this bell in time. That way that you will not die and have to restart the whole encounter. Okay, so now I'm looking and I noticed that, okay, my standard essence is the chalice, or as we're going to call it the cup. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we go over to the room where the cup is, and we need to take out these bell keepers. So we take out both of them on each side, and then now I'm going to go back over to the cup side so I can put down the standard. Now right here, just to protect myself a little bit, I place a little barricade shield. Take out these dogs as you come through, and you want to take out the Colossus. Alright, now what you want to do is, now that you freed up the bell keepers earlier, you want to try and shoot that bell. Right now, this right over here where Cup and Sun Arc can get a little crazy once these ads spawn. But once you get them cleared out, just shoot that bell, and you want to make sure you're in this little room. Now, once you're in here, you're going to have all these little mini Gahlran guys. And you want to kill these guys. They don't take a lot to kill. I just use the throwing hammer. It's very quick and easy. There's going to be 6 of these guys in here, so make sure you just take them out. There's going to be a sound that you're going to hear that's going to let you know once you have killed all these guys. That sound right there. Now, this is where we use our sniper. We want to use the sniper so we can shoot these bell keepers. You want to shoot the backpack in the back. This way they can explode easily and you can just be done with them, because you don't want to have to bounce around with these guys. So we're going to go back to that room where we didn't pick up the standard, and you want to go back to that room and pick up that standard that we didn't pick up earlier. Now, there's going to be another scion in there, but you don't want to kill that scion. Just pick up the standard. Now go back to the bell. Okay, now this one says that it's War Beast. So we want to make our way over to where the War Beast store is. Take out these bell keepers so then we can use the bell over here. Place my little barricade so we can protect ourselves a little bit. Those are still going to come through, but no worries. It's going to protect most of the damage. Take out that Colossus. Alright, now we're going to try and shoot at that bell so we can spawn into the nightmare room. Alright, now you're going to see in this room, you have more Gahlrans, of course, but we also had a Scion. That Scion's going to give you 15 extra seconds. It's going to make a huge difference on how much time that you have to do damage to the boss. Now, since now we place 2 standards, that's going to start our damage phase. Shoot these guys just to get them done and over with. Of course, we go for the backpack. Nice, quick, and easy. Alright, now you're going to make your way towards Gahlran. Now that you can do your damage phase, you're going to hit him with the tractor cannon and just start bonking him. Just start bonking him like crazy with that throwing hammer. Now, in this turn, see, this is fresh off of the new patch that we just got recently. So hammers are not as strong as they were initially at the beginning of the season, but it means you can't one phase him, but that's totally okay. You can still do tons of damage. And don't worry when you miss your throwing hammer and stuff, just keep going at it. You want to make sure you do a few bonks and keep putting that tractor cannon on him. Once in a while, you want to go back and you do want to hit those guys to make sure that you can continue to have that healing buff. After a bit of time, run over to the bell because you don't want to die and have to start this whole encounter over. Now all it is, you're essentially just going to repeat the process. You want to take out, now you're going to take out bell keepers again so you can free up one of the bells, so then you can go into the nightmare room. Okay, now we're going to pick up this standard. Alright, now right here, this is important because you want to make sure that even though there's a standard there, you want to make sure that you still kill that Scion. And I actually make a mistake further on in this video, but I'll explain more about that later. Just remember, you grab that first standard and you kill that second Scion and you leave that standard. Always remember, there's 6 of these guys in each room. And every time you hear that sound right there, that lets you know that you've killed all of them. Because sometimes they like to hang out, like, just in a corner or something, just doing their own thing. And then you're just like, where are you at? Now, normally if I have a standard for this side of the room where the dog and the axes are, I'll just kind of wait out and I'll just take these bell keepers out real quick. Same process as usual. Place the barricade. Take out the Colossus. Okay, now we're in this room. Right there for a second, I was like, where did my hammer go? I could have swore it seemed like it went right behind me, but luckily it landed right in my lap. Alright, it's damage phase, you know how it goes. I like to throw the hammer down just to get that little buff from Radiant. Make sure we go back and we hit one of those guys just so we can continue to heal from Soul Invictus. And you see, this guy is just knocking me around right now, man. He is not playing around. Remember to make sure that you keep a good eye on that timer too. Like, getting those extra few hits in, like, is just, like, not that important. It's more important to just make sure that you stay alive and survive. So, even if it feels like you still got a lot of time, if you feel like you're going to feel safer just leaving and just redoing it over so you can get to the next damage phase, that's going to be much better than just trying to stick it out for as long as possible and then you end up dying before you can get to the bell. And that's not fun when you got to do this all over again. Alright, now here's where I make a mistake. See, I looked in that room and I noticed that there was a standard there and there was also a scion. So instead of killing that scion, I just dipped out of that room. Now you're going to see where this ends up, where we end up with an issue. Alright, now, so I'll come through this room and I do grab the standard, but again, I did make that mistake of not initially killing the scion in this room. And you're about to see what happens because of that. So say, okay, it's War Beast. We're going to head to the back. Alright, so now I go to plant the standard, but one thing that I notice is that this door will not actually open. I'm like, okay, I done everything correctly, what happened? Well, because I didn't kill that scion initially like you normally would, what happens is that the game isn't registering that I should have that at the moment. Now, luckily, this does not mean that you have to restart this whole encounter. All it means is that you just have to go back into the room and then just go kill that scion that you normally would have killed. And then you'll be able to get that standard back. Now, my frustration throwing my hammers at the door because I'm just like, what the heck? But I just come right back through this room. We got the Scion, so now I can kill the Scion normally. Now the cool thing about this is that I didn't actually have to like restart the whole, like I didn't have to like grab 2 standards again like you normally would have to do. Luckily I was able to just go right back through and grab the 1 standard. I checked the rooms just to make sure. I was taking a look at the other room just to make sure, because I was just kind of like, because I never had that happen before. This is my first time having that happen, so so that was a learning experience for me right there. Okay, now we're gonna go through this as normal. Now, because I did make that mistake, this does mean that I will not be able to get the Scion for this room, but no matter. Not a big deal. We'll just run through it like normal. Getting that Scion too is very handy, because that's like an extra 10 seconds of damage that you will have access to. Now, unfortunately, Gahlran was not kidding around right now. Like, I was having some real struggles trying to kill him in this thing, and like these guys were just not playing with me right now. So not only did I mess up in that earlier with the Scion, I got Gahlran over here giving me issues. So, you know, in the end, I ended up running out of time. But again, not a big deal, guys. Just go back, hit the bell, and just do it over again as many times as you need to. And then we just repeat the process. All right, we got that Scion in there in the room, so that's going to give us a lot more time to work with. Nice snipes, get those guys done and over with. All right, boys, it's the moment of truth. Can we do this? Where's he at? Where's he hiding? There he is. Yeah, you gave me a lot of trouble earlier. I'm about to teach you a lesson. And boom, there we go. Gahlran goes down for the count. Now, if you got this far, guys, congratulations. Done with that encounter, and now it is on to the next. All right, so for this next jumping puzzle, I'm just going to recommend going with something like a scout rifle. That's what I use. This very handy for taking out guys at longer ranges. Of course, I'm using the lion rampants again because they're just so useful when it comes to the jumping puzzles. They make a heck of a difference. All right, now when you jump down here, there's going to be two ways that you can go. It doesn't matter which way you go. I normally just go for the darker area. It's just the one that I'm familiar with, but they're relatively the same. They're going to lead you to the same spot in the end. All right, so this is where the jumping puzzle is going to start. Now, you don't have to kill these guys down here at all. You can just run. You can just run past them. A lot of this stuff you could just run right through. All that matters is you're just going to come down this way. And it's going to be this lever here that you're going to activate. So you activate that, and it's going to pull those out so you can jump on to them. There's going to be a couple of scions here. I want to take these guys out because these guys will be annoying while trying to do this jumping puzzle. We do not want to do the jumping puzzle while trying to deal with snipers at the same time. That's just not fun. As you can see, I'm very careful when I am jumping onto these platforms because I swear I clench my butt cheeks every time. Every time. Alright, we make sure that we take these guys out because you don't want that guy to blast you off of this platform and then you end up having to do it all over again. That's just not fun. We take these sniper guys out as well. And then we go back the way that we came from. And then you'll see that on the side, we have these that are going to allow us to jump on top of those. And then you have this little opening right here. All right, now when you're coming down this, you want to make sure that you take a second here and there to just jump up to slow down that trajectory, because if you go straight down, you're gonna die. It's just gonna take you out, and then you're gonna end up having to do the whole platform again. Happened to me the first time, and I was like, wow, okay, all right, duly noted. Now you can just run through this area right here. You don't need to kill any of these guys at all. All right, now when you come over to this corner, you're just going to make a hard left right here. And then you could just glide across. Lion Rampant makes this very easy. This makes it a lot easy. A lot easier. Forgive me. All right. So in this room, we actually have a secret chest. I'm going to show where that is at first before we get to this area. So I'm just showing it's right here in this room. You're just going to jump up there, and there's the chest. All right, now for moving forward, you're going to notice that there is 4 statues of Gahlran. One is pointing directly at the bell tower. The trick is that you want to get the other 3 pointing at the bell tower. And now how you do that is you look at their positioning, and they're going to move counterclockwise. And so right now I'm looking at them, and I see that my pattern from the left is 3, the middle is 2, and on the right is 2 as well. So my pattern is 3, 2, 2. So now we go into the nightmare room. And then we're going to go behind these statues, and we're going to change that. So we're going to put 3. This next one's going to be 2. And then the one after that is going to be 2 as well. Now I do go over to check this one out just to show you that this one does have that too. So you want to make sure that you don't make the mistake of changing that one. There's also going to be a sound that you'll hear when when you got all the statues facing correctly. There's going to be a sound that's going to tell you that. Okay. And then now we just jump down here, and this is where our second encounter will be. Alright, so let me give you a little bit of a rundown on how this encounter works by explaining this room. I want you to think about this room layout as being similar to the room of the first encounter with Gahlran. You have your 2 bell towers, and our 4 emblems of cup, dog, axes, and sun are present here again as well. Now, unlike the last room, it's important to remember exactly where all 4 emblems are. Over by the stairs, which is the front of the room, is going to have dog to your left and axes to your right. By the back of the room where I'm at is where we have sun to your left and cups to your right. This is one of those encounters that becomes easier with repetition, so don't beat yourself up if you have to run through this a few times. Just understand you will get better at it with each reset of the encounter. Just like the last room, you're going to have 2 bell keepers that spawn for each bell. I'll explain the rest of this encounter as we go. As for the loadout, you'll want to make sure to have a waveframe grenade launcher, and you're going to want that sword with the Eager's Edge perk. That grenade launcher is going to be handy for dealing with phalanxes. Those are those cabals with the shields, and the sword will be handy for the lunge range. And Synthoceps is once again the play here for the melee damage buff. Also, I forgot to note on the last encounter, you'll want to make sure to try and rock that 10 resilience for the 40% damage reduction you get. This is literally a game changer and will help you stay alive a lot longer. Alright, so first thing is first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to this cubby area. This is where our bell keepers are going to spawn. I'm going to take these guys out real quick, and they're going to free up the bell on the other side of the room. You're going to have an immune boss guy here. Don't worry about him too much right now. What you want to check for is you want to check for 2 emblems. Right now, the ones that spawn for me are dog and axes. I know that dog and axes are by the stairs, and I know that dog is on the left, so I'm heading down to the left. This is where that waveframe grenade launcher is going to come in very handy, because you can shoot this down and it's going to take those phalanx shield guys down in one hit. You don't want to play around with these guys too much, because if they hit you, they can take you out in one shot, and then you have to do this whole encounter all over again. Also, it's very important to note that you need to kill those phalanx shield guys first. Once you kill those guys, you want to jump up here, kill that Colossus, and it's going to spawn the standard bearer. It's very important to kill those phalanx shield guys, because if any of those guys are left, even if you kill the Colossus, it won't spawn the standard bearer. So just keep that in mind. Alright, now what I need to do now is I need to jump down here and I need to kill these bell keeper guys. This way I can get out of this room, because remember, we do have that nightmare collapsing timer. Alright, making our way out. Alright, now all you gotta do is just run over to where the emblem is. You're gonna slot in the standard. Now, what I'll do is I'll run back and I'll start attacking some of these legionaries. I'll also kill these bell keepers down here so I can free up the other bell, because you can only use 1 bell at a time. So once you use 1 bell, that cycle is up. You have to wait until the end of the cycle to get that bell back. So I remember that I have axes. Again, it's just the same process. It's just the same process as normal. We make sure we use that grenade launcher to take out these shield guys. Now we can take out the Colossus. Now, I'm going to give you a little tip here about using Eager's Edge. So, right as soon as I pick that up, I'll normally pull out the sword so I can use the Eager's Edge perk so I can get that lunge range. One thing to note about this, if you're having trouble doing that, my tip to you is maybe try changing what button you have set for changing to your heavy. So initially what it is it's a hold to switch to melee. If you switch that to double press, is going to make that so much easier. That's what I personally did. Is I switched it to double press, and it made using Eager's Edge and being able to get that lunge range a lot easier and a lot more seamless. All right, so right here I put in the 2 standards. So now that means that we can do damage to this boss. One thing to note, there is 3 bosses, but don't worry too much. These guys aren't too, they're not too tanky or anything, and you have plenty of time to do damage to these guys. What I'll do is I'll hide out around in this cubby very often to play it safe. You don't want to be staying out in the open too much because these guys will blast you. Now, luckily for this first guy, if you're hanging around in this little cubby area right here, he'll jump down here and you can do damage in a safe space. But make sure that you take moments here and there to hit those legionaries so you can continue to have that Soul Invictus. As you can see, like I said, it doesn't take much to kill these guys. But after that guy's done, it's going to spawn the second boss. Now, this boss, you need to make sure to not get too close to this boss, because this boss works a lot like those bell keepers where he can blast you away, and so he can blast you off the map or blast you into a wall and take you out, and that's not going to be fun. You'll have to do the whole encounter over. So make sure that for the second boss, you try not to get too close. All right, so I take a look and I see that I have Cup and I have Sun. I'm going to shoot that one, shoot that bell right there. I'm going for the Sun. Remember, this will get easier through repetition, because you'll start to, over time, you'll start to learn just like exactly where all those emblems are, so then you don't have to go and check and see exactly what they are. Take those guys out. One thing to note too, when using, this is a little important detail too, something I learned, if you're not careful, see, the thing is, the wave frame grenade launcher can actually activate the backpacks on these Bellkeeper guys, and so what happens is sometimes they can explode. So if you're gonna use the grenade launcher to take those guys out, just make sure to play it safe. I like to kind of, I will try and like delay myself a little bit from like going in on them when I initially shoot them with the grenade launcher, because I don't want to end up running into those guys and dying, because they will kill you instantly if you're standing right under them when they explode. Alright, so this is our last standard. It's 2 standards for each boss, so slot that one in. This means we can do damage to this boss. Again, I go and I hide out in the cubby area. And now this boss here can be a little more difficult to work with. I was lucky enough to get the boss to spawn down here or jump down here, but a lot of the time this boss will stay kind of in the middle of the platform. So I'll show you how to deal with that essentially. Nice pulse, nice healing grenade to keep me alive. You want to make sure too, if you ever run into this boss, you want to make sure that you have your back towards like a wall, because you could somewhat survive the wall, but you're not going to survive if she kicks you off the map. Alright, so one trick that you can use to deal with this boss is you can spawn that barricade out, and then what it's gonna do is it's gonna make it where she won't be able to boost you out of the way. So if you're getting a little impatient like I was right there, you can just use that. If you spawn too late, she'll still knock you back. But if you're getting a little impatient, she's not going down to the cubby area, just spawn out that barricade, and it's gonna come in handy to keep you alive, and so she can't just throw you off the map. And as you can notice, I'm taking my time with this. You know, you're not on a timer for this damage phase. You can take as long as you need to kill this boss. So if you're not feeling comfortable, you're feeling like you're getting overwhelmed, just go hide back out in the cubby and take it slow. All right, there we go. So this is where I take a little bit of a breath of fresh air, because I feel like that second one is the hardest, just simply because she can kick you off the map. Now this third one, I don't get too worried about him that much. The first and the third bosses are pretty easy. That second one is definitely, in my opinion, the most difficult, because she can blast you off the map. Again, same process as usual. Just running through, taking out those phalanxes, taking out the legionaries. We don't even worry about those dogs. We don't need to kill them. Remember, we're on a timer here. Like I said, I make sure that I won't try and get up in their faces just yet if I'm going to shoot that grenade launcher, because if their backpack explodes, it's going to take me out, and then I'll have to do the whole encounter all over again. We don't want that. Alright, now this is the last standard. After this standard, we'll be able to finally do damage to this boss, and this is the last boss of this encounter. We're almost there. Right now I'm just playing it safe, making sure I kill some of these guys, get that Soul Invictus going. Alright, now I'm gonna start doing damage to the boss. I don't care about jumping on the platform and attacking him front on like that. Again, I'm not as worried about this one as I was about the second one. This one, he can jump up, and it does make him a little harder to hit. So I go and I throw my hammer way up out there, but it's okay. It lands right directly on me. Just keep bonking him with the hammer. Right about this point, I just pop my super, because I'm just like, hey, he's pretty low anyways now. I might as well just take him out with the super and get it done and over with. And there we go, just like that. That is the end of this encounter. That is all that is to it, guys. You just jump, after that, you just jump down here. And there you go. And that is the end of our second encounter. All right, so time for our third jumping puzzle, because if the first two weren't enough, Bungie decided we should have a third one. Okay, so for this jumping puzzle, Lion Rampant, of course, and I'm going to recommend Skyburner's Oath. Skyburner's Oath, going to be very handy for the phalanxes that we're going to run into. And of course, Skyburner's Oath penetrates those shields, so very nice. And it does more damage to Cabals. You got two different ways here, but they both lead to the same way. It doesn't matter. Take whichever way you want. Some nice scenery. All right, so the trick here for this area is that we want to get to the top. Right up there. And you're going to see you got some guys up there. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to jump to the bottom here. And we want to go get ourselves that second secret chest. You also got a memory of Callus there as well. So right down here in this little spot here, that's where you're going to find that second chest. We'll pick that memory up. All right, so you want to find a bell, and the bell is right here, right at the end of the room. And up here, you're going to spawn to the nightmare room, and you want to take these guys out. And then right across from this way, this is where you're going to want to jump all the way over here. And hopefully you're much better at jumping puzzles than I am. I suck at jumping. You jump up here. And there's going to be this little opening right here on the right. That's where the bell tower is going to be. Shoot that so we can spawn back into the regular room. Just keep on going up. You're going to see another bell on the other side of the room. This one's pretty simple. You just jump across. All right, so now we're at the top, but we don't want to jump over there just yet. Want to make sure we're using that sky burners just so we could take out those phalanxes and yeah, and those guys too, because yeah, we don't want them blasting us off the top there and having to go through all that all over again. No guy over there playing peekaboo. Little Scion over there. Okay, now you just got this little opening right here. You're gonna jump through there. All right, same thing as before. Just make sure you jump up a little bit to slow down that momentum. Okay, more jumping, yay. Just jump right on over here. You just want to essentially hug the wall. Jump right on up here. Watch for that little thing in the middle. Little platform. Again, I suck at jumping, so hopefully you have much better luck with this than I do. Alright, jumping puzzle over, and finally we have made it to our third encounter. Oh, get ready, y'all. Because this one is a doozy. Alright, quick rundown on the third encounter here. We have 3 bell towers in this room instead of 2, but we still have the same 4 emblems as we did in the last 2 encounters. This is going to function very similar to the last encounter we just did, where 2 emblems are going to show up in this room. You'll enter the nightmare room via one of the bell towers, doesn't matter which one, all 3 bells take you to the same room, but this time you'll need to head to 2 of the 4 platforms in the nightmare room. The 2 will be whichever 2 emblems showed up in the regular room. On each platform, a scion will be present, and you'll need to kill that scion to collect the standard. Make sure you kill the scions on the 2 platforms you are supposed to. If you kill a scion on the wrong platform, you will lose 15 seconds off your nightmare collapsing timer, which will likely lead to a wipe. After that, it's killing bell keepers as usual to escape the nightmare room, where you'll slot in the 2 standards and then repeat the process one more time. So then you can begin the next phase, which is the damage phase of the boss. I'll explain the rest as we go. For our loadout, we are going for a Riptide, a grenade launcher with blinding grenades, and Lament. Riptide is going to be nice for activating our bells quickly, as well as coming in handy as backup for killing enemies if you happen to lose your throwing hammer. A grenade launcher with blinding grenades has proven to be extremely useful for the bell keepers and simply just getting enemies off your back when being overwhelmed. Lament is going to help you stay alive during damage phase, and we also want to run Lordly Splendor Helm, as having sunspots spawn when you are near death is very handy. Alright, now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to this left side. Now this left side is going to spawn 2 bell keepers for the bell over on this side. Take those guys out and it'll free up that bell. Now one thing you'll notice over here too is you're going to see those 2 emblems that spawn. For right now we have Dog and we have Cup. Now I already know where Dog and Cup is, but in case you're doing this and you're unfamiliar yet, you can always check each platform. You look at the top, it's going to display that emblem for you in the regular room. Alright, now that we're in the nightmare room, you're going to jump up here, you're going to take out this scion. Pick up that standard, and I'm going to jump over to the next side, because on the next side I already know that this is where Cup is at. So I'll take that scion out, pick that standard up. Now, as soon as I go straight to these bell keepers, I'm going to drop the blinding grenades on them. This way that they can't blast me away off of the map. That's going to suck very heavily. Thing to understand about this room is it's going to spawn 4 bell keepers in total. So make sure you kill all 4 bell keepers. Watch out for these dogs too. They can overwhelm you very easily. And if you get hit by the Colossus as well, it's going to be a rough time. But for the most part, the only thing you need to worry about is those scions and those bell keepers. Now we're back in the regular room. I'm going to slot in those standards. One thing you're going to notice is that these ads, you're going to get a ton of them as you're trying to drop these standards in. They're going to overwhelm you like crazy, but this is where something like the blinding grenades is going to come in very handy, because that is going to help keep some of these guys off you. You could also spawn your barricade to activate that Lordly Splendor, which is going to give you that sunspot, and that's going to come in very handy right there. Alright, so now we got 2 more emblems that are spawning. I see I have Axe, and I believe the other one was Sun, right? Yep, that's right, Axe and Sun. Okay, so I already know that axes are up here. So I'm going to kill that Scion, pick that standard up, and I'm going to go straight to Sun. I know Sun is right across from axes. I take that Scion out, pick that standard up, and the process is the same as usual. I'm going to drop those blinding grenades for the bell keeper so they can't blast me off. Make them a lot easier to take out. So far so good. I get hit pretty heavy here, but luckily I'm able to escape all of that. And we're gonna go straight for that bell just to get right out. We don't need to be in here any longer than we need to. Alright, so now that we have those last 2, we're gonna slot those 2 standards in. I dropped the little healing grenade just to play it safe. Drop that to play safe. Okay, now we have 4 standards in total that are slotted in. Now, one thing you're going to notice is that right where those standards are placed, there's going to be that red glowing light. This is where the chains are. And what's to start this damage phase, you're going to shoot the glowing chain. You only need to shoot one, and it doesn't take a lot, and it's going to activate our next damage phase. Alright, so we shoot it. It's going to activate this hammer that's going to slam the bell, and this is going to start our damage phase. We're going to spawn into the nightmare room. Alright, now the thing about this is Keitel here is going to run to one of these bells, and you need to run over to whichever one she's going to go to, and you need to take those bell keepers out so that you can shoot this bell and stun Keitel. Now, this is where our damage phase can start on Keitel. Now, if you remember, there's 3 bells in this room, so you need to make sure that you take these bell keepers out for each one. Now, again, the problem with this situation here is that Keitel is going to randomly go to each bell tower, so you need to essentially bait her to do that stomp. Once you bait her to do that stomp, it's going to give you some time to figure out exactly which bell she's going to, and then you can take those bell keepers out. And then to note too is that when you're going over to these bells, you want to try and drop that Lordly Splendor helm, drop the barricade, and so you can spawn that sunspot immediately, because those snipers that are spawning on the side on those platforms are going to give you a heck of a time. They're going to blast you up and they can take you out immediately. Another thing to note too is you want to make sure that you don't hit the bell too late, because as soon as she gets to that bell, she can instantly essentially withdraw from the whole damage phase, and then you have to do that all over again. Luckily, if this happens, don't worry too much. It's not a big deal. You just go through the process again. It's not going to wipe you or anything. Okay, so now after all 3 of those are done, I'll hide in the corner right here just to protect myself from the snipers while Keitel is withdrawing. And then, guys, that's essentially just it. You just repeat the process. Now, these emblems can spawn on different sides. So right now I see that there's dog on one side, and there's cup on the other side. So I know that dog is close by this bell, so I'll just pop that one. So okay, so this is a good example of sometimes, like normally when you spawn to this nightmare room, you're going to spawn exactly where you're at. But sometimes it's going to spawn you right at the end of the room like that. And it's going to be very handy. This is where it's very handy to know which platform is which. That way you don't get disoriented. Again, it's just something that's going to come with time, with repetition. Don't feel bad. As you keep doing this over and over, it's going to become easier. The process is the same here in the room. Again, you got those 4 bell keepers. You take the bell keepers out. You take the scions out to collect the standards, and you get out of that room. I can't stress enough how handy like a grenade launcher with blinding grenades is for this encounter. Because the trick about these bell keepers is a lot of time you want to try and stop them before they're going to blow you away off the map or something. Because they can very easily kill you. Alright, and as soon as we slot in that first standard, that's when the enemies are going to start spawning in like crazy. Just keep throwing your hammers, keep hitting these guys so you can continuously keep activating Soul Invictus and you can keep healing up. So right here, the encounter accidentally starts. Like, I don't know if I somehow accidentally hit something or what, but I very quickly instantly recover from that, even though it caught me off guard, and I get straight into this. Now, one thing I forgot to mention on that first time is that I will throw that hammer into Kaido to essentially activate Radiant, and Radiant is going to give us a damage buff. So make sure you do that because it's going to help out a ton when doing damage to Kaido here. Okay, right now I'm trying to kind of like test and see. Okay, it looks like she's going for this one all the way on to the right. So I take those Bellkeepers out real quick. I'm going to spawn that Lordly Splendor Helm so I can get that Sunspot so these snipers can't take me out. Make sure I hit that bell. All right, I do my hammer to get that Radiant, and now I'm doing damage with Lamet. And again, Lamet's going to help keep you alive because every hit is going to heal you a little bit. Okay, I say, okay, that's enough of that spot. I'm going to switch. I'm going to quickly move over to the next spot just to prepare myself. All right, now I'm going to activate that bell, throw the hammer, go back in with the Lamet. Okay, and I make sure I throw that healing grenade just to make sure, because sometimes you won't have that restoration anymore, and these guys could take you out at any time. So always be prepared for that. So once in a while, throwing a healing grenade, I'll activate my super at the end of the damage phase just to keep her in there, keep her in that room just a little bit longer, so I can do a little bit of extra damage. But after that, again, I run right back to my corner where I'll hide away from the snipers, and I'll wait for that to end. Go back to the regular room, and we just repeat the process all over again. Now, one thing that I will know, I don't know if it's just superstitious or what, but I feel like once you get Kyle to about like halfway, it just feels like these enemies, they crank it up to like 11 or something. Like, they are just not playing around. This is where I feel like I'm more reluctant to just die just from something. Okay, time to slot in these two standards so we can start the next damage phase. Pop the healing grenade just to play safe, because I know that is gonna start getting very crazy. Yeah, look at this. These guys are mobbing me, and I almost died here. I almost died, but luckily I was getting that. I was still getting my health restored, luckily. Yeah, like I said, I don't know what it is about this. Like, it's like once you start getting further on, it's like these guys, they start cranking it up, and they done playing around with you. Okay, so now I guess again, you start the damage phase here at any time, but for the moment, I'm just taking some time to clear this room out a little bit, just to give myself some breathing room. Okay, and in case I didn't mention it before, I like to hide kind of right here in this spot, because I feel like this just makes it easier for me when I'm right up here to watch Kaido and see which way she's gonna go. I see that she's heading towards the left, so I'm gonna immediately go towards the left, take those Bellkeepers out as quickly as possible. Okay, now I'll drop that, throw the hammer, and of course we use that lament to get that damage and we heal. One thing to also note as well is that scions on the side of the platforms won't spawn instantly yet, but as you start to proceed on with the next spell and the next spell, those scions are going to start spawning on the side and you're going to get more snipers that you have to worry about. Okay, I'm watching Kyle. It looks like she's going down this way. I end up accidentally throwing my hammer off. So this is where Riptide comes in handy, because here with Riptide I can shoot these guys, get them down quick. Now one problem here, right? I'm not able to kill those guys fast enough, so Kyle ends up getting to that bell before I can get over there and take it out. So what that means is that ends the damage phase, but that's okay, guys. Again, if she goes there and she ends the damage phase, it's no big deal. It's not gonna hurt you. All that means is that you just have to do this cycle it just means you have to do this cycle over again, but it's not gonna, you don't have to worry about it being like, okay, you wiped and now you got to do it all over again. So don't feel too bad if Kaido's able to get to those bells before you. Just keep on going with it, keep it going, keep your composure. You're gonna be just fine. Right, time to slot in these last two standards so we can start hopefully the last damage phase, and let's hope nothing goes wrong. I dropped that Laurel Splendor, I dropped the barricade so I can activate Laurel Splendor. I just played safe. Again, I ain't trying to die right here. Just taking out as much of these enemies as I can, because I want to make sure that I'm going to be a-okay, that I'm not going to get jacked up while trying to start this damage phase. Okay, so I think it started by accident and I just happened to be in the right spot, but again, we keep our composure. We see exactly where Kyle's going. I almost died right there. Almost died, guys. I almost died. I throw that hammer. Let's go. Damage phase time. And just like that. And just like that, Kyle goes down for the count. And that is the end of the last encounter, guys.
Breathe. You have returned to reality.
Exactly what Eris says, breathe. Yeah, you definitely have to breathe after that one, for sure.
Should you be willing to delve into his nightmares again?
All right, and that is the end of this run of my play-by-play of soloing the Duality dungeon on the Titan class. I hope this was able to help some of you guys. I hope it wasn't too confusing doing it like this. I just decided to do it a little differently than what you normally would see. I figured that maybe it might be more helpful to see a full run of it, and then just to have someone explain and give commentary on what's going on, why they're doing what they're doing, and giving little bits of details. If you guys made it this far, I just want to say thanks a ton. I know the video is super long, but hopefully I should have some timestamps in there that should make sorting through the video easier. With that, guys, if there's anything that you guys need to ask, any other help that I wasn't able to provide you in this video to help you with soloing this dungeon, please leave a comment in the description and I will reply back, and I'll tell you whatever I can that can help you get through this dungeon, because the loot in the dungeon is great. I love it. I personally love the weapons. And of course, Storm Chasers right now, the big hype for like the big boss damage right now. So with that, guys, I'm gonna leave you to the rest of your day. Thank you for stopping by. Peace.
Gahlran.